Hello, my friends at Face to Face Games. This is Travis Semulin Sowers. You may remember me from doing videos for ManaDeprived.com millions of years ago, or you may be new and excited about watching some drafting for the new Forgotten Realms set. Either way, I'm going to be doing drafts here on FaceToFaceGames.com for a bit for you. I hope that you enjoy them. We'll be doing best of 3 traditional drafts on MTG Arena. And before we get started, you should head on over to FaceToFaceGames.com, check out the weekly sales. You can get a great deal on Magic products, Pokemon products, Yu-Gi-Oh products, and even other games. Let's dive in here and see what we've got. The set has just come out. I think I've done about 6 or so drafts, have some opinions, but we're still kind of learning our way through. If you're unfamiliar with who I am a streamer on Twitch. You can check out the stream at twitch.tv/Semulin. So far, I'm really enjoying the set. It seems like it's a lower powered set, for limited at least, compared to the things we've seen recently. My favorite sets in the past have been Hour of Devastation, Ikoria. I actually really liked Core Set 2021. That was a surprising amount of fun for a core set. There's definitely a red-white equipment deck that's kind of the boogeyman of this format. That's somewhat exaggerated if you're playing in best of one because of the hand smoother. There's always one, isn't there? Like, we were all ready, except for you, filled seat. Okay, there we go. Filled seat did finally show up. This is quite the pack. There's basically a vanilla 6/6 for 6, which is certainly not bad. It does seem a little underwhelming for a rare, but you can kind of spend life to draw cards, which is pretty neat. I dig that. We've got Death Priest of Merkel. Did I do that? Which will let you make skeletons if you can get morbid triggers reliably. We've got Chaos Channeler, which I've played with, and to the surprise of no one, I love Borderland Minotaur. It's actually my favorite Magic card. So Borderland Minotaur with upside makes me happy. And Brunor has kind of been the reason to be doing red-white equipments, from what I can tell so far. And I think we need to take one of these cards. I think the highest payoff is probably Brunor if it's open. I don't feel compelled to play red-white just because we got this. But a red-white equipment deck with Brunor is infinitely better than a red-white equipment deck without Brunor. So I'll give this a go, but this is not going to influence my decisions too much. All right, now that we're here, we've got some options. This is an uncommon I like if you can get consistently complete dungeons. And I've had white decks that can. This might be the best white common. If it's not, then the Pacifism is. And if it's not, then the 3/3 flyer that Adventures is. Like, there's a lot of decent white commons. I also quite like Skullport Merchant, but I don't think I would take that after first picking a Brunor unless there just wasn't a good red or white card here. And I do like this Fireball. It's okay removal, especially being at instant speed, but I think I'm being drawn to this Gargoyle. That could lead me towards black-white dungeon completion runs, and we could still certainly play it with Brunor. It's a body that can carry equipment. And one of the equipments that I'm still not quite decided on is the torch. Like, there's a torch that's for 2. It gives a creature +1/+1, equip 3, and whenever it attacks, you venture into the dungeon. I've liked that with Brunor, but sometimes I drew it without the Brunor and it was still good, so that card might just be okay. So here I'm kind of torn between taking a dungeon map and getting a little off of this plan, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I've been very impressed with this too, and it's a way to complete dungeons that would be nice with a Gargoyle. I probably wouldn't play it in a deck with Brunor. However, this Hobgoblin is really freaking good. It is also just a common. But I think in the interest of staying open, I'm going to take what I think is the best card by itself in the pack, which is the dungeon map. I try to draft what is open, meaning that rather than first picking a particular card and then deciding, okay, this is what we're doing now, I'm going to try to read what the table's not doing and do that. So this can be a bit of an advanced drafting technique, but it has led to great success for me in the past. For example, here, this is another thing that cares about venturing into the dungeon, cares about completing dungeons, would play nicely with a Cloister Gargoyle, and all of a sudden, if we take this and forget about this Brunor pick, we've got a pretty solid start to a blue-white deck. We could also pitch either of these and have a solid start to a blue-black deck or a black-white deck. So we're just going to kind of see where we go from here. There's nothing that would really encourage me to continue down this red path. But the Eccentric Apprentice both ventures on its own and wants to complete dungeons. Same with the Gargoyle. So maybe we're going to keep going with that plan. I've been relatively happy with the Veteran Dungeoneer. I've also been relatively happy with Contact Other Plane. The rest of the cards in this pack don't terribly excite me. It is worth noting that, like, if we take Brunor out and start thinking about our curve, I've got good 3s. I don't have any spells, but it's kind of like, do we want to commit to white or commit to blue? I think I'm going to take the Veteran Dungeoneer, as with what I have so far, it looks like a solid blocker. And again, all of my cards so far venture into the dungeon. It would also let us abandon blue if we need to and still be pretty happy. For example, here's a Morning Star and a Fireball. And around 6 pick, I'm starting to get interested in those. So maybe Brunor's not all the way out of this deck just yet. I don't really love Bar the Gate, although I could see playing it. I wish I could take a white card here. I don't think I can. So I think I'm going to default to the removal spell. And we're probably playing okay, never mind. Never mind. This is better than that. So this may have just been a pack where there were better red cards. I suppose it's also possible I should be blue-red, which is interesting. We saw the blue-red uncommon earlier, but I like the Apprentice quite a bit. Trickster's Talisman I don't particularly care for because it's kind of like, yeah, you get to copy your best creature that had a good attack anyway, but if your best creature already had a good attack, aren't you already winning the game? So like I don't feel like that's exactly what I need. I kind of feel like my last card, like my other color, should be really determined via what's going to finish the game. Interestingly, I don't hate this card either, especially when I've already got some good flyers. It does a decent Dawnfeather Eagle impersonation. So I may just be doing blue-white things. I also kind of dig the Shortcut Seeker, although interestingly, I don't really think it's ever going to attack. I'm not quite sure which one of these I want, but I'm going to go with the Seeker for now. I'm still feeling like we should be blue-white. And this guy seems just fine. Like, I don't necessarily need more 3-drops, but it's hard to argue with most of an Elvish Visionary. Okay. So the rest of the table doesn't really like him. Like, I get my own free Contact Other Plane if I'm willing to play 2 of these. And there is, I mean, it's rare, but there is a Blink enchantment we could get. I think it's Teleportation Circle. I'm also sort of prioritizing that because, it's possible that I'm overvaluing or the rest of the table is undervaluing the Eccentric Apprentices. So realistically, what we should be looking at is, here's what we're going to play, is this. We're probably playing these cards. We could bring in the red ones. We could bring in the blue ones. We could open a Lolth and be like, I guess we're black-white now. And that is one thing I've actually really enjoyed about this format as compared to Strixhaven. These tools could be interesting with the Shortcut Seeker. But I don't have any 2-drops yet, and I'll just play that one. In Strixhaven, being restricted to the 5 color pairs that were available through the schools was really a lot less fun than feeling like, okay, I've got these white cards and I can pair them with whatever I want. I don't think I'm super likely to find the Villain's Lair, but I guess I still take it just in case we need to get to playables. Nothing wrong with this guy. Okay, and you can play Bar the Gate. But I think we probably found our other color. We were pretty interested in being blue anyway, and we've opened a 5-mana 5/5 that draws cards when it smacks people. That seems to really go with what we're doing. So I'm going to snap that up. It's unlikely we're going to wheel anything from here. If it wasn't here, I think I would probably take the power word kill. Although I could see an argument for the burning hands, but because of what we opened, I think that's established our second color. It's also worth mentioning, I don't have to play the white. I just have so many playables that I think it's likely that I'm going to. But there's still a lot of draft to navigate. But I mean, it's the Dungeons and Dragons set. You open the dragon, you find a way to play the dragon. All right, and there's a minimus containment, which is essentially this set's pacifism. I like that quite a bit. I also think Portable Hull's a little bit better than I initially gave it credit for, because I was looking at it kind of as like 1 mana kill something I don't care about, which is kind of silly, but it does have the flexibility of being able to knock off or get rid of a lot of the class enchantments, which is good. But if we're starting to look at something like this, like the one thing I'm really missing is removal, and this gives me access to this, so I don't know why I wouldn't take it. And we could still play Bar the Gate and Villain's Lair if we have to. I could probably use a few more 2s. I could probably use a few more removal spells. And this pack kind of has all of those things. I did a set review with the Mana Leak a while back on stream and said that I do think the Demi-Lich is playable and limited despite its difficult casting cost. I don't think we're really in a deck that can do that just yet. I also don't think I can really abuse the Cleric class, but we could certainly get some value out of it. Like, we've got a couple life gain triggers, but I think I'm just going to take the Charmed Sleep here. It more or less does the same thing Minimus Containment does if you're not concerned about the mana requirements, which I'm not. I don't need to be able to turn through removal reliably. And then I suppose if any of these 3 wheel, we can talk, but like the Demi-Lich does require you to have a lot of spells in your deck, and currently we're not looking at playing any, just a bunch of enchantments. There's the Torch that I talked about earlier. This pack is kind of completely devoid of blue and white cards, which is a little scary. There's also a Grim Bounty, which is a little scary, because this is a little bit better than most of the other things we've got going on here. There's a possibility that we could take this card. It would feel stupid to take it after passing the Cleric class. The question is, do we want to like go ham on this Delver's Torch and really try to complete some dungeon runs, or do we want to take the bounty? And I think the auto picker knows we're supposed to take this bounty and see if black opens up. Doesn't look like it did. Man, sometimes drafting's hard. I like the Soul Knife Spy a decent amount. I do think Portable Hull's better than I thought it was. I think Portable Hull is probably the pick here, because I need 2 drops in this deck. I don't have any. I'm not offered any, and this is a 2-drop with upside if you think about it, right? Like, I can kill their 2-drop with it, which is kind of why I'm taking it. And if I draw it later, it might be able to grab one of those class enchants. There's an Eye of the Beholder, which is not great removal, but is acceptable removal. We're getting a little bit flooded on 3s here, which is kind of awkward. But I could see having extra mana being okay with the Conjurer. Yeah, I think we're just blue-white. Arcane Investigator impressed me. I do think putting this torch on a flyer would be nice, but I'm a little concerned about 2s right now, and I've activated this one. I also killed somebody on stream when I was at 1 life and they were at 20, just with Herald of Hadar activations. So don't sleep on that card either. I was thinking we could use one more expensive thing to play if we're going to run the dungeon map. And I mean, this is essentially 2 Frost Drakes stapled together. But you know what? I'm kind of okay with that. Because we've got the ramp here and the ramp here, so it'd be nice to have consistent things to ramp into. Let's do it. All right, we've got another Cleric. We've got another Air Cult Elemental, which it's not another one, but it's a 6-drop. I think I'm okay on playables, and I think I want to take the Dawnbringer Cleric to bring in if there's classes I need to pop. We could also just play it if we have to. This would be decent to run, I guess, if I need to. Like, I may need 2 drops. What are the chances we could get it off with these? Not particularly high. And we could play this too if we need to. We still got a pack. That's good. I kind of do want one of those torches now. I also think these green cards are going late adjacent. Didn't wheel any of the other removal spells we were talking about. Really any of the white cards we were interested in from that first pack. Alright, I've heard that Rogue class is pretty dang good. I don't remember what it does. This is kind of build your own Thief of Sanity. I don't know that I want to splash for it when there's a planar ally here. This is a card I think I was most wrong about in my set review. Like, just that consistent dungeon pressure is kind of huge. I also kind of want you come to a river, and I think we'd play Contact Another Plane, but I don't think we have to. Again, we've got a decent amount of card draw on these guys, and potentially here if we need it. But we're going to be completing dungeons pretty consistently. I think this makes that happen even more often. Room abilities of dungeons you own trigger an additional time. Is that better than a 3/3 flyer? I don't actually know. I'm used to being in draft formats a little bit later where I know for sure this card is worth going for, this card is not. Since I'm not there, I'd actually really like to know. Let's try this out and see if it's any good. I think if I knew its value, we would be talking about potentially another dungeon map, the Djinn, or potentially just a Dwarfhold champion to have an aggressive 2-drop. Divine Smite is incredibly powerful in your size board. So I think I'm just going to gobble that up. Like, you can totally main deck it. It's worth mentioning, like, with Tomb of Annihilation being one of the dungeons you can go through, everybody can get a 4/4 black Death Touch creature. So this is just an answer for it. It's not that embarrassing to main deck. But when you like, against a black deck, it's just super premium. All right, there's a 2/2 lifelinker, but I think we just need the other removal spell. Like, I've only got 2 ways to kill things. It'd be nice to have another one. And if I need to play the other cleric, I'll play the other cleric. I do think I'd like to have like 5 or 6 2-drops. I've seen a lot of people playing this format very aggressively, and I don't know if they're correct to be doing so or not. I've had very aggressive decks that worked great, and I've had really slow, dirtily controlled decks that worked great. I think I've done something like 6 drafts and had 2 game losses in the course of that. And some of that's just new people to, like, I guess it's not fair to say new people. People who don't really value draft as a format and are just looking to get some rares and card complete and then play their games. Like, usually later in a format, you'll have the limited diehards left. So you can get some kind of cheeky wins early. With this many creatures, I kind of do want to take the torch and just full-on jam dungeon runs. Kind of weird to see another Brunor after I picked the first one so highly. Like, I think we could use, like, this deck is getting through the dungeon. Welcome to the dungeon. We got fun and games. Bag of Holding is wonderful. You ever draw too many lands or not enough lands? Happens to me. Yoinks. Kind of want the interaction because I don't have any more, and we're already at 15 creatures, and I'm pretty happy with my creature suite. So I think we're going to come to a river here. I may take out literally anything and just play this Dawnbringer Cleric. This Moonblessed Cleric has got to be an upgrade, right? Because, like, we can get Portable Hole with it, and I realize it doesn't put it in your hand, but if we need to draw a specific card, we can just do that. This deck is going to ask me to make the decision about would I rather draw a card or go through the dungeon, which is a really interesting question to have to ask. I would like one more too, even though this is pretty dang good. But I'm not cutting any of these. I need all of these 2 drops. Well, now I feel stupid, but... Do we want to be ambushed on the road? I don't think we want to be. Like, all of these cards I'm fine playing. But like I said, it's going to ask us the question, would you rather go in the dungeon or would you rather draw a random card? And that's a really interesting question to answer through the course of this. Let's look through what we want to play, what we don't want to play, what we're going to cut, what we're not going to cut. I'm thinking we're playing 17 lands. I'm thinking I probably need to cut 2 creatures. And they probably need to be 3 drops, right? Because we've got 4 2s plus a portable hole which can fill in. So I feel like I've got enough 2 drops that I'm not going to get entirely run over by aggro. That's good. Then we've got this glut of cards here. So what are we definitely not cutting? I don't think we're cutting the Cloister Gargoyle. I don't think we're cutting the Moonblessed Cleric. There's too many things for it to go get, right? We get an enchantment card, which is basically Charmed Sleep and Minimus Containment. I thought I could get artifacts too when I took it. I'm so used to the white cards being able to do that, and it doesn't go into hand. But just being able to be like, I know... have you ever been in a scenario where you're like, I really need to draw my removal spell? Yeah, me too. And this card's like, okay, you're gonna. I don't think I can cut the Clever Conjurer if we're thinking, like, we want to play this and then untap and cast Planar Ally or the Dragon. I don't think the Conjurer's going anywhere. So when I said this is going to ask me between would I rather venture into the dungeon or draw a card, this is what I meant. These 2 are competing with each other for that 3-drop slot. Yeah, I think the priest has got to go. That's weird. I didn't think I would be cutting that. I meant to take out the priest, not those dudes. We can fix that. Okay, so we can do that and then cut 1 spell, and I think our numbers will be closer to where I'm happy. So what I'm doing here, as we're going through, is I'm looking at things by my mana curve. And generally speaking, what I like to do is look at creatures, and I apologize, some of you will already know this, but if somebody's watching this and it's their first draft video, generally speaking, creatures you'll want to play out on curve. That means as soon as I have 2 mana, I probably want to play this Dragon's Disciple. As soon as I have 4 mana, I probably want to play this Dragon. But some of the other cards I don't want to play out as soon as I draw them, right? Like Portable Hole. I don't want to play this on turn 1. There's probably not anything for it to kill. The Bag of Holding I could play out on turn 1, but it doesn't really do anything on turn 1. Same with like your removal spells. So I'm kind of looking to make sure that I've got enough stuff to survive the early game, and then enough stuff at the end of the game to win. Because I think it's one of these cards that kind of has to go. And I think this is asking me, would you rather have the Bag of Holding or Contact Other Plane? Because the bounce spell being instant could be really handy, and giving something unblockable could potentially just kill someone. So I think I'm actually going to cut the Contact Other Plane, which is interesting. I thought I really wanted one of those, but it turns out I didn't. Very important to sleeve your cards. You can pick a favorite one, which a lot of people do, but I like picking different ones to kind of match each deck. Usually I'll pick something really weird, but you know what? Let's be honest for once. I'm just an Azorius boy here doing some Azorius things. I think I'm okay with 9-8 split this way. With the idea once I have the first blue, potentially the Conjurer can get me the second. And it does look like most of my early game is white. And like the Charmed Sleep, I'm probably not realistically casting on turn 3 very often. So, let's go party. A picture there is of the Dragon Minstrel. I can't remember the name of the card, but it's quite good in green. Must be hard to play a lute or guitar or whatever with only 3 fingers. This is not lovely. I'm still going to keep it because mulliganing Unlimited is kind of a death sentence. Like, it's an opportunity to draw a worse hand that has one less card in it. And I've at least got a 2-drop and a interactive spell. There's some possibility I want to use the frickin' portable hole on that, which is kind of crazy. But they just spin a card to make a treasure token and get into the entrance of the dungeon. And I can't use the portable hole on whatever they're going to cast with it. It's kind of like we're trading card for card with our opponent. This feels really weird to me. The other option is just play out the Dawnbringer Cleric and see what happens. But imagine they untap into a 4/3. With this hand, what happens with that? I probably just get run over, don't I? I kind of can't make myself do it. I kind of think I should have, though. Okay. That's not so bad. They are going to convert it into more cards, but like as far as end of the world things go, that's not so bad. I think as far as dungeons go, we're interested in going into the mine first, completing that, and then starting on the Mad Mage. I don't think this deck's going to be very interested in the Tomb of Annihilation. Whiff, 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 whiff. If they only draw one creature off of this, we're in business. See, that was my concern. They're going to have a Herbadurger. And we can Charmed Sleep it eventually. But how much damage are we going to take off of it before that happens? So the Tomb does at least get me a Scry right now, which is nice, because finding 2 blue would be super cool. Yeah, I think we need to be more concerned about blue mana than white cards that don't do much. The 7/6 right now is kind of a problem. I thought I was hearing birds in the arena interface, but it's actually just birds from outside doing bird things. As far as bad things go, that's not so bad. I could conceivably double block that. I could incredibly safely double block that if we had the blue up. But I don't think we're ever drawing blue mana, which is a little bit of a concern. There's a question about whether I use that bloody portable hole now to get rid of that treasure token. It could conceivably keep them off of the giant. The only other thing it's going to do is kill that basilisk, but I frankly don't care if they attack me for 1. I care a little bit if they use whatever this format's ambuscade is and kill something. This feels really silly to be using a portable hole on a treasure token. Especially since I probably should have done it sooner. But we're not a mono white deck, y'all. It's still sort of trading a card for a card because of the Cursed Idol, but need some blue mana. I think I've probably got 2 turns to draw Runner blue. Or maybe this Hill Giant wasn't that big a problem after all. Now I feel really weird about using the portable hole. But I guess I'm giving them treasure and I'm taking away their treasure? That's pretty great. I'm gonna kill your treasure. Here, your giant's a treasure now. Like, that is a card for them with the Skullport Merchant in play. Also a pretty good sign they don't have any combat tricks in hand, or they'd have attacked with the Owlbear prior to playing the 7/6. So we're stable and we've time. But now you're going to sell me on you top deck to combat trick. I guess given that I can play around it once I hit 1 blue and it's only putting me to 18, I'm not that concerned about it. But they're going to have to remember they sold me on that. That Plains is basically exactly what we needed. They really tried to sell me last turn on the top deck to combat trick. There's +2/+2 and trample. I guess they could have also just been fine with the trade because they've got so many more creatures coming up. But I think I do go for the double block now. That gets a lot of power off the board. If they have a combat trick, well done. Okay, they had the ambuscade. Spoils of the Hunt. I should remember the new card names, but it's difficult to keep up with them. So what would this do? We could block the 2/3 and take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, it's probably not going to work. There's some argument to not even play this with the idea that it might lead to them bringing in a plummet. Some instant speed interaction would be really nice versus the Spoils of the Hunt, but I mean, we'd have that if we had the blue mana. This is pretty awkward. I don't think this is actually clearing the game for us, but hey, look, we'll get them down to 19. Or 21? I don't remember how much life it deals you. 2. Okay, let's go to game 2. It's interesting, we've got a black hate card. Oh, that's how we do it. But their creatures aren't really black. I'm not quite sure what they're playing this much black for. So I need to start asking myself questions like, could we still use the phase out portion of our black hate card? Because I think we could potentially be quite interested in killing either of these card draw options, and they may have more black creatures. But I also think being able to phase something out might be useful, especially if they're using that ambuscade. And I'll stop calling it ambuscade eventually. But I do think I'd like that. I didn't see anything that's necessary for Portable Hole to get. But they do appear to have good 2-drops. I think I'm actually going to cut one of the Apprenti. As if they've already shown me one solid reach creature. They're not going to cut that. Like, it doesn't block very well. What is this? 2 colors of mana? I'm not sure how I feel about that. Yeah, see, they've already got this dude, so if they want to start blocking us, they'll be able to do that. I think that may mean I want to play this dude first. No, I'll give them the option if they want to trade a little damage. That's fine. And like I said, I think we want to go through the mine first to complete it and then start on the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I love Bag of Holding. I'm keeping that. Because if I have to get a removal spell, I can go get one. Okay, looks like we are going to be on the blocking train, not the attacking train. I feel better about taking one of these out, because it's just not doing anything against that. I think I might rather have the 1/1 here. If I need to, I could double block with this dude. I'd be pretty nervous to do that against this color combination, but I could. Alright, so this lets me put a counter on the goblin and potentially trade it for that, which is nice. I think we definitely want to get the Bag of Holding out. And next turn we can draw an enchantment-based removal spell and be ready for that when it's time. And we're dang near through our dungeon. Once we're through our dungeon, we have real attackers. This was always the destiny of this goblin. Good boy, you have fulfilled your destiny. Look at them, they're just getting started in a dungeon and we're already like speedrunning it. So the question here is, would I rather have a random card or an enchantment-based removal spell in hand that I cannot use? Because clearing out one of them fellas here would be mighty nice. That would let us start attacking. Is like, assuming we get another adventure, that would be good. I think we can probably take it. Because they're eventually going to play something I want to use it on. And I think I'm going to hold this land in hand to loot away with the bag next turn. And what I draw will depend on whether or not I want to use a Charmed Sleep this turn. And that basically means no, because we could blow out an Ambuscade here. So there's no reason not to have the river up. If I really, really wanted to complete the dungeon, we could also do that with that. It is possible that I need to use the Charmed Sleep now on the Owlbear, because that is enabling attacks. Now they know I have it, so they probably have something better. But remember, we can draw a lot of cards. Well, a lot. We can draw 2 cards per turn. That seems like a lot to me. I do have a 6-drop in the deck, so like there's some possibility I should just play out the land. But they don't have attacks right now either. I mean, that's cool. When I do complete the dungeon, I'll draw 2 cards. We can just keep looting away till we find something that matters. That's a little unfortunate because it means their card draw is going to begin to equal ours. There's really nothing I can do about that. But if I had to, I could bounce the Cleric and find another pacifism effect. Like if we really need it. They're not going to be able to attack until they find a combat trick or a removal spell, and at that point, their river should do some work for us. Okay, this guy ain't going anywhere. We'll get him back if we need him. It's a good part about Bag of Holding. We can always get him back. They do have that idle, so it's. I really don't want to put stuff I'd really like to keep under there. For example, this next turn, I think... Oh, that's exactly how I can kill this thing. Swell. Let's take out their card advantage engine. They can still get 2 cards off of it, but all they've done is catch up with my bag. I think I still want to hold up the river. Because again, they're not going to have attacks until they draw an instant speed, trick, removal spell, something. And we saw that Spoils of the Hunt from them. So if they look to make an attack and make my blocks bad by getting me with Spoils of the Hunt, we can kind of just get them right back. The only downside would be if they go to blow up my Bag of Holding, I'd be a little sad. But I think I'd like to just pop it and get the lands next turn and start getting card advantage off of the Arcane Investigator. Yeah, see, being able to bounce something with a Vorpal Sword equipped could be nice. We do not have any artifact hate, and that's a little scary. But as long as the creatures are trading, I think we're relatively happy with that. Kind of weird they're completing the dungeon before I am. We cannot let this hit us, because we'll just lose the game. Vorpal Sword's pretty good. When a creature dealt damage by white this turn dies. Okay. Cool. That's also a good card. They're just looking to set up a little bit of value. I can appreciate that. They've got an Ambuscade in hand. I keep saying Ambuscade. It's not Ambuscade. That means I can't loot. Also means I can't really tap out for this. So I think what we're going to do here is if they give me a solid trade, I'll take it. Like, I'm relatively happy trading off the 3-2 for that. But I bloody know they have it. Yeah, they're hovering over my creatures to see which one to get. And the answer is none of them. You're getting none of my creatures. I guess the 3-1's worth less than the 3-2. If they've got the trample combat trick, I could be in trouble too, but they're just making things trade that we're going to trade anyway. I don't care. Okay, all the cards are on the table, as they say. And yes, the white with this is pretty good. So Delver's Torch triggers on attack and gives something +1/+1. So I'm kind of interested in keeping that for now. And I could play it and equip it and attack and then draw 2 cards and sort of start to get back into this. So I think we hide the Investigator under here. Give this a go for now, complete our dungeon. Have better blockers, and then try to get all these cards back. Or just get the ally going. Although that counter kind of makes things awkward for me, doesn't it? I forgot about the counter. I don't even know where it came from. It came from their dungeon. Alright, fine. We'll wait a turn. See you later, Moonblessed Cleric. Alright. They're actually going to complete the dungeon before I am, which does make me kind of sad. And I think now we go for this, right? Like, this is the super valuable one. I could also go here with the idea that, like, I don't mind. I'm going to pop my artifacts. No, I'm not. That's not what I want. I'd rather just start the Tomb of the Mad Mage. I'm going to need these cards back, so I'm kind of hopeful they don't blow my thing up, because I need crap to block with. So my plan is to loot one more time, next turn equip, and pop the Bag of Holding. Because I have to keep blocking whatever they put this Vorpal Sword on. Which is not entirely ideal for me. I think I need to trade off the Apprentice for it here. Which is also not entirely ideal for me. Holy crap. Portable Hole win. Holy. I'm in danger. I'm in a lot of danger. Because I have to block whatever they attack with the Vorpal Sword on it. And it's going to be bloody huge. The Trampler is also immediately lethal. So it's kind of nice to have drawn this. Because I do have to stop the Trampler. So what's the biggest creature they can get? They're going to get a counter, and they're not going to get toughness, so that aspect doesn't matter. So the biggest thing they could get if this is gone would be 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess they could put it here, and that would be a bit of a challenge too. So I may need to main phase this Bag of Holding yet again, because nothing under it actually solves my problem. So sadly, I think we're going to have to go fish first. And be a little sad. Because they could put me in a position where I have to chomp, and I don't want to chomp. Is Scry 2 going to save me? I got a bad feeling about this. Not you. Not you. So I think I very likely have to chump with my 3/4, and I don't know how I get out of that. Ranger class is certainly the best class in Magic. Now, whether it's the best class in D&D, we can debate that. If I can get 2 more steps, like the target creature can't attack next turn, that could be useful. But I think I'm just dead now. Because they've got enough to activate that, right? It's... yeah, we just died to a Vorpal Sword. 4, 5, 6, 7. I can double block it. Okay, so I'm not quite just dead. But you can see how this ain't gonna work out real well for me. Oh. I could kill it, but at great cost. Okay. I'm dead. It makes me sad. Well, that sucks. I had this whole game plan of, like, completing dungeons, and it was entirely stopped by a 2/3 reach. Let's see if we can scrape a 2/1 out of this. Now, some people who do draft videos only post their wins. I think that removes a lot of the tension out of it, and I don't like watching draft videos if somebody ain't going to post when they take a loss. So you never know when you buckle in for a Travis draft if it's going to be a 3-0 or an 0-2. This one is probably one of the better openers we've gotten, provided we can get this torch equipped. So we just need to hit some more lands. I have noticed I feel like I'm getting mana screwed and flooded, or I guess I should say mana deprived and flooded a little more often in this set. But I imagine that comes from Strixhaven just having environmental sciences at common. It solved so many issues. It does make me wonder with all these classes if there's not consistent 18 land decks. Because I bet there are. You can have that if that's what you want. I got other stuff. Do you have other ways of making you talk? Yeah. I like lands. They're swell. How much is this to activate? It's 4. Okay. Bloody Hunter's Mark A. Don't much care for that. I'm glad I didn't go for the equip, though. I'm alright with this. Does the 1/1 do anything? Not as much as this does. That guarantees me a 5/5 flyer that will draw me cards in a moment. I think that might be better. And if I happen to have extra mana left over, so be it. Good luck. How you planning on dealing damage to it is the question. Because I wasn't really thinking about blocking here. We got some good targets for Charmed Sleep. I think this fella has done his job. All right, so if I get down to 3, we get to draw more cards, which I like. So let's start here. I suspect we're going to nab this too. Oh, I'd have gotten more cards if I'd done it the other way. I'm bad and I feel bad. I don't need your judgment. First time I got to play with this. We still learning. Guess I'll take it. Now I know one of the cards I'm going to get will be a removal spell, which I want. Now we did it. You can have this fella. Don't mind if you get one card. We can sort of start thinking about killing them here in a minute. Which I don't mind a bit. We shrinky-dink their stuff. Because they're really trying to get some Manticore value off of this. But I could also just drain them for 2. But it's already lethal. Well, this drain for 2 ensures that it's lethal next turn, don't it? Because even if they gain a little bit of life, ain't much they doing about it. And while we're at it, let's just go ahead and draw some more cards. Look at that. This is what I had in mind this deck was going to do. I guess it's better when you draw your dragons. Because they're on chomp with their 2-1. When it gets wrecked, Nud. Been a while since I recorded a video and wasn't streaming. I keep looking over to see what kind of questions chat has, but they don't have any, and it's weird. Okay, that felt a lot better. Let's do that one again. I do feel like I'd like Divine Smite again, even though the black cards aren't looking great. It's nice to have the portable hole for both of these things. Like, that will draw them some cards given the fullness of time. And this thing's freaking annoying. If you can nab it early, you don't have to deal with the large land. I wonder if I want Bar the Gate just for a little more interaction. I wonder if that should just be main deck. And, like, you guys have been screaming at me, you don't have enough interaction, you should play Bar the Gate. It's weird not to have much up to hold up to go with it. Is my concern. But I guess it's kind of a combo with Bag of Holding. If you get my drift. I don't want it on the draw, though. I might want it on the play. I'm probably going to cut another one of these fellas. Because they got multiple ways to kind of get me. Yeah, let's give this a go. I'm thinking that's not great against the leftover body from the Manticore, and on the play they should be able to put me under enough pressure that they can actually get value out of that. Like, we could play around it a little bit because we knew they had it in hand, but I can't give them free damage consistently. Well, I mean, I can. I'll just not, you know, that ain't gonna work out too well for us. Stupid druids. Where were you last turn? You're a bloody disappointment, Bag of Holding is what you are. Alright. I guess bouncing the land is a pretty good answer to it too, isn't it? Oh, it's non-land permanent, so never mind. It's actually the opposite of what I said. That's a wonderful thing to put to sleep. The problem, of course, is that they have enough mana to make another arbitrarily large creature. So they have two things that we must put to sleep. It will be a 6/6. I don't know how to deal with a 6/6. So if that's the world we're living in, I wonder if what I'm supposed to do is just bounce this troll and attack and rummage with my Bag of Holding. I think that's what I'm supposed to do, because I need a way to deal with the other 6/6 or we're going to lose. Now, Divine Smite might be cool later, but it ain't doing crap now. Well, is it? Yeah, it's not going to undo that, because it just goes under a cup. Shout out to Tom. Some of you will know what I'm talking about there. They can get a 6/6 with haste, or they can just replay this dude. I gotta charm both of them. And I ain't really racing them either. But at least that one I can chump for a while. I think I need to do the looting first. Well, I mean, probably into turn, but I don't think playing this like a 1/3 does a whole hell of a lot. But digging for an answer might. I suppose chump blocking infinitely is an answer, but I do have a 6-drop dragon that would be a nice draw. Still rather find an answer right bloody now. I guess I could take a turn off, trade the investigator and draw a card, or play the planar ally. I guess I can't always block the thing. I'm just nervous about them untapping and ambuscating this, or spoils of the hunting it, or whatever. Spoiling my plan, I reckon I should say. That's what I was worried about. Ah, well, if they just want to sit here and let me have a good time with my Bag of Holding, I'm down with that. We can even think about attacking next turn. Because we got this here white dragon. Them being scurred is good for us. Holy carp. That's a little scary. Get out of my way. I mean, the good news is I think we can kill them based on this board state. Bad news is that thing can be a little scary. I mean, it's mostly just draw 2 cards. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Problem is I can't get the enchantment and cast it this turn, and I'm going to need the dang thing next turn too. What all do we have under here? Divine Smite. So what if I do this? And we plan on next turn, we're going to cast the Cleric now, draw a removal spell. I'm not going to have quite lethal. But I think this starts to go in my direction. They're going to need to play another creature. And I've already got card advantage established with the Arcane Investigator. Because I can just phase one of their creatures out. Okay, that's not going to work. Frack. Yeah, may as well attack with it. They know it's going to disappear. Oh god, my weapon was chosen. Okay. 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 Simmer down now. Simmer down. You know, I'm kind of starting to think I should have just been playing this dude over this dude anyway. And that I'd rather draw a card than ramp by 1. Let's see if I'm right about that. I thought I was going for the kill, but I was not. They were. Alright. That's a little land heavy, but I've wanted to draw a Portable Hole nearly every game I've played. We've got some more card draw in the deck, and the Priest of Ancient Lore will at least get us a little deeper. It just makes more sense to do this, don't it? I could Portable Hold that if I... No, I can't. It's CMC3. Probably so you can't flush it down the hole. Cut your ramp, draw your dragon. Makes sense. Who's a good cat thing? Is it a man or a core? We may never know. They can't get their Deuter out of it next turn. So I think we just use all our mana. I ain't opposed to putting it in a hole. Yoinks. You go to sleep. And I ain't blocking with this because they draw a card. I'd rather attack with it and make them trade. So no druids for you. That's not very nice. I was using that. Okay, I guess I have a 1-3. Wouldn't mind some of that card draw now, please. No, not for them, for me. There you go. I think I need to contain this owl bear, because it is currently looking like a bit of a problem. This deck has performed really well when it draws the good dragon. It has performed significantly less well when it does not draw the dragon. But I've been very happy with these priests. I think I'd like more priests. A few more lands would be good too. But card draw wise, we've got the Bag of Holding, which could start to dig us out of this. You Come to a River doesn't really do anything, does it? Not currently. Would have been nice a little while ago. I'm going to take one more hit here. I don't really want to have to bounce it just to stay alive. So I can't really do anything with this except have another blocker and gain a couple life points, which is fine. Because I don't think I want to destroy any... I don't think I want to destroy my own enchantment. Yeah, that seems like it would be bad. I could blow up theirs, but I don't care. I suppose we could look at double blocking the Moon Druid. We found something to do with it, though. It's an interesting way to cycle. The Delver's Torch, eh? I wouldn't call that ideal, but it will enable us to do some blocking. Problem is trading off benefits them. Good grief, can you stop drawing all the removals? I suspect I'm just dead here. I was trying to think of some combination of cards that if they keep drawing could kill them. But I don't think we've achieved that. If I'd chumped there, we draw this, we still have to block that. I guess we get to go a card deeper. I don't think any of the dungeons are going to make a real difference here, right? Like, I can burn them, I can gain a life. None of that's going to do enough for me. That's unfortunate. This is... However, this is unfortunate. But you, dear viewers on face2facegames.com, this is incredibly fortunate for you. This is the first time I've ever gone 0-2 in this format. I have to say, overall, I don't care for that result, but I do feel like I've learned some things, and I want to take a moment to kind of go back over this deck before we call it a video, and look at what performed and what didn't perform, and kind of where we may have gone wrong there. I mean, there were some draws that didn't help, but especially this early in a format, a lot of information can be gained by cards you were happy about and cards you were unhappy about. So let's start with what I was relatively happy about. The 1-3s just didn't impress me. I had 2 dragons. This never triggered. It was always just a 1-3, no text. It would have been better off as another Dawnbringer cleric. Didn't care for that. Portable Hole was pretty good. I was never unhappy when I drew it. So we're going to move that one up. The Gargoyle was selling a dream that we just didn't have. Minimus Containment and Charmed Sleep always did what I wanted. We never really got to play with the Conjurer when it was relevant. Same with the Dragon map. When this triggered, it was nice. We got to draw an extra card off of it a couple times. So I think I'm pretty happy with this. The games we won were the games where the Dragon got to run away with the game. So I think the Dragon's pretty good. The Planar Ally almost immediately always drew a removal spell, indicating that it's probably pretty good. But this deck just ran out of steam, meaning what I probably should have been doing was valuing the Priest of Ancient Lore and the Contact Other Plane significantly higher. Because I felt like I just wanted to draw more cards and get to things that mattered. We never did really face like a super scary aggro deck where I needed all of these 2-drops. So I think a significant amount of time I should have been cutting 2s and bringing these in. And of course, drawing better. The Moonblessed Cleric did what I wanted. I was pretty happy with that. And with all the green-based removal being so dependent on having a creature in play, you might should just main deck Divine Smite and look at it as like a bad bounce spell. There were times I would have wanted to draw the Giant to give me just a solid blocker. I was thinking these two would do the job, and they kind of did. And it might have been worth running the counter spells. Interesting. Interesting. I think this format's got a lot going for it, and I'm excited to draft more and bring you more games here. If you'd like to watch me O2 drafts in the future, you can do so at twitch.tv/Semulin. Again, don't forget to check out the store. You've got some great weekly deals going on, so it's always worth checking every week to see what Fossafos has for you. And I will see you lovely people next week. Thank you so much for watching, and have an awesome week. Adios, my friends.